Hey everybody, I'm here with Jana from the Nostalgic Futurist podcast. Jana is incredibly knowledgeable about Disneyland, and her videos are so informative and so entertaining. I've learned so much from what I've watched so far, and it's crazy. Tell me about your shirt.
Oh, it's the Pirates of the Caribbean spirit jersey.
Whoa, cool. Does it say something on the back?
Just says Disneyland.
Very nice. I'm going to ask you a few questions today. Is that okay?
Yep.
Perfect. What is your favorite ride at Disneyland?
Space Mountain.
Oh.
That one's easy. I think because when I was a kid, I always wanted to go to space. And like the fact that I get to do it without like going through a centrifuge and feeling like I'm going to vomit is kind of great. Plus the music is so good in there. I don't know. I just like being like catapulted through the dark. It's a great ride.
Do you have a favorite land?
New Orleans Square. There's something about New Orleans Square with like the jazz music and like you get to watch the Mark Twain go by and the beignets and then like, two of the best rides are over there with Pirates and Haunted Mansion. It just feels like that land feels very cohesive. So I like that one a lot.
Yeah, that's my favorite too. In all the research that you do about Disneyland, what is one of the most interesting facts you found out?
I think one of the things that shocked me the most was, I guess when they were building the Jungle Cruise and they put in all these plants and like basically created like a jungle environment, it actually made the animals and insects that lived there get bigger. So they had spiders like the size of dinner plates in like the 60s, I think, and they used to have to shoot them with the guns.
I watched your video about that and I thought that was crazy too. And it sounded so unnecessary too to have to use guns,
right?
But so fun.
They said they were so big and scary, and then sometimes they said they would end up in the like boats with the patrons, and they'd have to be like, "Nobody pay attention to this gigantic spider that's in here with us. Welcome to the jungle."
Well, how did you get started in making your YouTube channel and becoming the Nostalgic Futurist?
I had for years just like told people a bunch of Disneyland facts because I just researched them. And then a lot of people are like, why don't you just make it into like a podcast or something? They're like, people will probably listen to it. So I was like, I don't know. And so then COVID happened and I was bored. So I was like, well, I guess I'll do it now. Now seems like a fine time. It was kind of hard during COVID because it was like, well, what do I talk about? Because the parks are closed. And I didn't want to just do a bunch of stuff that people already knew, like, oh, the Walt Disney lamp and the fire station. I didn't want to talk about like a bunch of stuff people knew. So I was like, well, what's the like weirdest things that I could talk about that like most people wouldn't know? And then I was hoping at some point when I have an annual pass again and things go back to normal that I can start doing like videos about how best to like do the park. Because like I have a knack for being able to guess like line lengths without looking at like, because the times are always wrong because they're trying to trick you. And so like I have a knack for that. I have like all these tips for how to get around, but because the park's operating different than it used to, it's like I don't know the tricks anymore. So it's like then here I am again waiting for things to go back to normal.
How did Disneyland become such a big part of your life?
I mean, I used to always like most little kids always wanted to go to it as a kid. And my parents used to take me like, I don't know, once every 5 years. That wasn't very often. And then I had a friend who her grandparents lived in Orange County. And so she went to Disneyland all the time. And she would tell me all these things about it that I didn't know. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like, I didn't know Disneyland was so deep. I thought it was just like a theme park. And so then I started going more with her. And then as I got older and could afford an annual pass, then I started going myself. And like, I don't know, there's something about being and maybe it's because I'm an actor, like Disneyland just doesn't feel real. It feels like you're on stage. It feels like everyone around you is your fellow actors and someone built these really cool sets for you, and it comes complete with smell and sound and just everything that you could want from like, I don't know, I've always really liked performative, or not performative theater, interactive theater, where like you go somewhere and the actors are actually trying to like do something to you, or they're actually trying to make you feel like you're somewhere. So I think Disneyland just kind of like taps that right on the head.
What was it like being there by yourself for the first time?
It was kind of weird because like you don't realize how much you end up talking to other people. because when you're waiting in line, what else are you gonna do? Just like, because a lot of the time in the lines you lose service on your phone and like, I don't know. And it was weird too, because people look at you weird if you're by yourself. They're like, where are your people? I've had like several like moms come up to me and be like, do you need to walk with us so you feel safe? Like all kinds of weird things. But I got like, I would bring a book and just read a book when I'm in line, and most people will just kind of leave you alone. And it's kind of nice. It passes the time, I think, a little bit quicker because you're not really like focusing on like how much of the line is left. But it is also hard because you don't have anyone else's input about where you're gonna like go. So then you just get to be like, and you get to go through lines faster because you're a single rider. So then you're like, wow, I already did the whole park and it's noon. I don't know what I'm gonna do now. So I have to like come up with like a theme. Like there was one time I went, I think right before COVID, I was like, I'm just gonna ride everything I haven't ridden since I was a little kid. So I just rode all these rides that I hadn't ridden in like, I don't know, 20 years, and just decided to do it. And it was really fun. Like I was like, why didn't I ride these rides more? It's like you get to spend a little bit more time noticing things. Like sometimes I'll give myself like a list of things like, oh, this is something that I read online exists in Disneyland, but I've never seen it. So let me go see if I can go find it. Whereas like if you're with friends, they're like, what are you doing? Why do you want to go see this one little thing? Like I feel like it's the one time you get to kind of geek out on your own level and no one can judge you for it.
Yeah.
I mean, people look at you weird sometimes, but they're not your friends, so it doesn't matter.
When you're there by yourself, does it ever feel lonely or uncomfortable looking around and seeing that everyone else is with someone, like they're with their friends? It's like a family with their kids. There's like couples.
I mean, sometimes like I feel like all emotions are like super heightened when you're in Disneyland. I like, you know how like you'll see like kids throwing their biggest tantrums or the parents being the most frustrated. So I feel like, yeah, there are times where like I'll be walking around and I'll see people and I'm like, oh, I wish I could talk with someone right now. Or like, oh wow, I had such a good time on this ride. I wanted to, oh, no one's there. You know, and then you see everybody else and you're like, look at them with their, but I don't know, like I think it goes away after a little while because I think I stopped noticing it after like 6 or 7 times of going alone. I just started reading my book, or if I felt like super lonely, I'd just call someone on the phone and like have like my headphone in and just walk around, talk to somebody. And it's fun to call people when you're in Disneyland because they're like, oh, I can hear it. I want to be there. And I'm like, guess you should have come.
You know, those times where like maybe you're hiking or in nature and you just feel like a connection to the world around you that is just between you and it. Do you ever feel that at Disneyland?
Oh, definitely. All the time. All the time. Even if I'm there with people, it's like I have my own like little rituals I have to do. Like I always like to go to the partner statue when I'm leaving to like thank Walt, you know, and just say goodbye to him. It's his park, you know, might as well honor him, you know. But it does feel like a little bit like Disneyland has its own life, but then like you can feel like the people who made it, you can like kind of feel their presence. Like I'll ride the Haunted Mansion and be like, man, I can definitely tell this was a Mark Davis thing or a Rolly Crump thing. And like, you kind of feel their influence because they just cared about it so much. And that's why it's fun to care about it, is because the people who made it put their heart and soul into it. And then you're sitting there being like, ah, I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. There's such a feeling of like, I am in the midst of something so much bigger than myself. I'm in the midst of a huge achievement by human beings.
And then it's a positive thing. It's not like, oh, look at this big statue we made as a monument to something. It's like, no, this was entirely built to make people happy.
What would you say if someone came up to you and said, why do you like Disneyland so much? You're an adult. Disneyland's for kids.
I actually get this question quite a lot.
Really?
Yeah, I think a lot of people forget. I think it's a quote by Walt Disney where he's like, inside every child, there's like a small adult, but inside every adult, there's still a small child or something. But my big thing is I usually say like, my only time to like explore places or time periods that I would never get to experience anywhere else. And I know they're Disney-fied, but there's no way I'd ever go back to 1901 and walk down a main street. That's not going to happen in my lifetime. So like the opportunity to get to go do stuff that like you would never get to go do anywhere else. I mean, like, why do I want to live in the present? Or why do I want to just live in like, you know, dry, hot California when I could go to New Orleans Square, or I could go to Tomorrow, or go and see actual Avengers jumping off buildings? Like, I don't know. It's like if you're going into a movie, and why would you not want to take that opportunity? It's like, I don't know. I'm like, why do you not like it as an adult? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, that's such a great answer. What do you think it is about Disneyland that makes it such a special place for you?
I think, and I think this kind of goes back to going to it alone. I think it's the one place that feels like home. Like you can move around, you can move all the time. You can move all different places and go do different things, but like Disneyland's always there. And like whenever I always do this on my Instagram story, when I get there, I just take a picture of the train station. I say home, because it's like, this is when I'm home. This is my house. I know what I'm doing here. I feel very comfortable. And even if like horrible things are happening in life, or, you know, I've been anxious or depressed about something, it's like you get to go to Disneyland. It's like, oh, okay, here I am. I'm home. Now I can enjoy being home. It's like a permission. It's permission to like have fun.
Yeah, that's so true. Wow, that's such a great answer.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Jana, this has been such a magical interview. Thank you so much. Where can my followers find you?
I'm on YouTube at the Nostalgic Futurist. And then I also have an Instagram for that. It's kind of a hard name. It's actually what people used to call Walt Disney, if that helps anybody remember it. My normal Instagram, though, which is easier to find, is Jana Banana 257 with one N. None of that 2N Jana stuff.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jana, and I'll see you real soon.
Thank you.